Kelly, would you please do the roll call?
Collins,
Here.
Grennan,
Here.
Merle,
Here.
Neese, here, Topliff.
Here. Well, we have a quorum, so please rise. Dear God, as we gather this evening, we ask that you influence our hearts and minds so that we govern this city fairly and justly. We thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed on our community, and we ask for your continued protection upon our city staff and crews. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, up next, we have the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Do we have any public input for the consent agenda? Why can I not speak today? Man. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The second.
I'll make a motion to be second.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. See,
He doesn't run now.
yeah, it's like I'm getting paid by the hour.
Right. On to resolutions. Resolution 2025-08, a resolution of the city of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with West Plains Downtown Revitalization, Inc. for economic development.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-08.
I second.
Okay, Sam?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. This resolution really, as it states, approves an agreement with the Downtown Revitalization Group for services. Over the past year, they've been instrumental in helping us with reactivation of the alleys downtown. We've got a meeting actually later this week with the group to be able to talk about some of the concepts that they have identified. So this really just approves that agreement and authorizes us to pay the invoice for their services for this year. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, this, the annual agreement.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, we're bringing it to you late because it's my fault and I forgot to bring it to you last December. So when we approved the position for the downtown coordinator, you'll recall we also had an agreement for services with
Right.
them for that position. So it just completely slipped my mind and we should have had this other agreement along with it.
is there any public input for resolution 2025-08?
Mayor, I've got a question.
Sure.
Is the position that we hired, is that a full-time?
Yes, it was
Position.
full-time as
So-
of June 1st.
She'll enjoy the benefits?
Yep.
of
Mhm.
the City, okay, very good. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right,
Resolution 2025-09, a resolution of the city of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing a lease agreement between the city of West Plains and the Board of Governors of Missouri State University for the purpose of leasing to the university certain space within the West Plains Civic Center for office, storage, and certain types of events.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-09.
Second.
hi Todd.
Hello, how are you guys?
Great.
So this is just to renew the annual lease agreement with between MSU West Plains and the Civic Center. And again, that's for the use of office and storage space at the Civic Center. Really, the only significant change would be to increase the lease amount to $129,828. And that is an increase of 2.9%, which is based on the Consumer Price Index from December 2024.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Is there any public input for resolution 2025-09? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd.
Resolution 2025-10, a resolution of the city of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing an agreement between the city of West Plains and Stagg Louisa LLC and Curtis Hines Garrett and O'Keefe PC for the purpose of providing legal services in connection with the AFFF product liability multi-district litigation.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-10.
Second.
Can you read that again?
Yeah.
Good job, Kelly. Well done.
Yeah.
Again, good evening. This resolution just approves an agreement for legal services with our current city attorney, as well as a firm that they are working with for the PFAS class action lawsuit. Stephanie can probably answer any questions that you guys may have, but this really just gets us in line for any potential funding that might come down the pipe from any actions that are taken as a result of the PFAS litigation that's floating around, and how cities are going to have to test and treat potentially that chemical when it appears in our water or wastewater systems. So Shane can answer some technical questions and Stephanie can answer the legal ones.
I think we covered, discussed that during our utility work session.
Yep.
Where we currently are testing and our levels are minimal.
Yep.
And so just for the public assurance and everything.
Yep. No,
On
we
that
are in
end.
good shape.
Is there any public input for 2025-10? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Right, on to ordinances. Bill 4800, first reading. An ordinance of the city of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with BNSF Railway for the permanent closure and vacation of the Thornburg Street grade crossing and for other related purposes.
Motion to consider Bill 4800, first reading.
I'll second.
Oh, hi, Emily.
Hi. This is the agreement with BNSF and the city to close the Thornburg crossing as part of our agreement with them for the overpass. The BNSF is providing $200,000 to the city. That's going to be part of the project for the overpass cost. And the closure would not happen until after the overpass is complete. So we're not going to close anything until we have that as an avenue to go over.
So do we have a completion date projection, Emily, on the overpass?
Right now we're looking at early 26. Everything's on track. Of course, we've had a lot of rain, a lot of things like that, but they've been able to do a lot of work outside of that. We've got the second wall constructed now, so we're on target for early 26 to be complete. And that includes everything that would be all the finishes on the outside and everything like that. Once the overpass is drivable, we anticipate the roadway to be opened while work continues kind of on the other side.
So is the city going to put up a early notification that this crossing will be closed?
Yeah,
People to get it out of the system.
Yeah, that'll be a part of a lot of notification. And you know that since that is a detour, we're going to have a lot of information out because we have a lot of folks that have changed their route to include that where they didn't even normally. So yeah, we will be having a lot of public comment and communication through that. We get a lot of phone calls regularly in our office, just ask in general, what all's getting closed and things like that. So we try to be as helpful as we can with everybody understanding what's going to be closed when and making sure we have plenty of warning, since especially we're going to be going from detour signs to closed signs eventually, but that can be a transition process. It's just not going to begin until after the overpass is complete. So if we feel like this is going to be an interruption, we want people to get used to new travel ways before we just really affect too much down the road.
Be a mess.
So changes. Changes. Is there any public input for Bill 4800? All right. Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Grennan,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Bill 4801, first reading. An ordinance of the city of West Plains, Missouri, approving and adopting a utility billing policy for the city of West Plains.
Motion to consider Bill 4801, first reading.
I'll second.
Hi.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So nice to see you guys tonight. So this is in a follow-up to our utility billing work session that we had last Monday. If anybody missed that work session, it's available online on YouTube. It's two different sections. It was a 4-hour meeting, so we had to split it up into two different 2-hour sections. But that YouTube is available, video is available. So this policy comes kind of at the end of a 5-month period where we've been revisiting policies from other jurisdictions, We got some recommendations from MPUA, which is a Missouri centric utility organization, trying our best to get a solid set of policies that work for our town, but is also very inclusive of best practices and things that other cities have found that work for their utility. So as a result of the work session, we didn't have any recommendations on that night for changes, but we've had one recommendation since then to add businesses to the eligible customers who can put an account on hold. So that, as a reminder, that's section number 7. And that's if a place is going to be vacant for 2 months or longer, somebody could put their utilities completely on hold, which means we turn off electric, we turn off water, and there's no charges until the place is what's the word?
Occupied.
Occupied. Thank you. I'm like, it's not revacated. That's not the word I'm looking for. So until it's occupied again. That's the only change we've had recommended so far, but of course, we're open to changes since tonight is first reading. If you have anything else you'd like to discuss.
No, it's just good to have in black and white, a consistent policy that we can
Absolutely.
follow and everyone treated the same way. So,
Mhm.
all right. Is there any public input for Bill 4801? Okay. Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Grennan,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
All right, so we have a couple council action items. First one is the bid for Evans Ball Field.
Hello again.
Hi.
So on this first bid, we are seeking approval to approve the bid from Turfmark, which was the low bid for repairs to the Evans Sports Complex. That work would be laser grading to restore the proper slope and drainage, regrading the outfields to match the original specs, and importing and installing infield mix to create a new 2-inch cap on the infields. And again, just to kind of clarify for those watching at home and for council, we rebid this to make the specs more detailed, but also to bid specifically for the Evans fields only. So we are asking that the cost is $36,000. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, so we will have to approve this one. Yeah, so this would be,
Separate vote.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the intent is to address Evans Field and then we can talk about those
Yeah.
Thorn Fields.
So I would entertain a motion for Evans Field.
Motion to approve the bid for 36,000 from
Turf.
Turfmark.
Turfmark.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Right. Any other input, any public input on the field, Evans Field? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Get that one fixed.
Okay.
So then, item B, we have bids for Hilburn, infield turf, option 1, 2 fields, option 2, 4 fields, and Todd can chat about it.
Yeah, so we wanted to give council 2 options here for potential to put in artificial turf. Excuse me. And again, just some context for this. At the last council meeting, I had addressed the fact that we've got recurring flooding issues at that complex. So we really wanted to come up with a more robust, permanent option for those fields. And again, Hilburn is primarily where we play the youth baseball and softball. So we've been looking at artificial turf. There's some obvious advantages. Maintenance costs, we estimate it'll save us between 15 to 20,000 a year just on staffing and maintenance and equipment. Better drainage, just a consistency, playability, but also too, it's something that can be insured through MIRMA. Whereas currently, we can't insure the dirt, especially on the infield of those fields. They wash away and we have to replace them. Since 2017, we've had 3 major events where we've had to address the issue. The location of Hilburn, right there on the creek, we know it's very, very prone to these flooding events. So we are looking at artificial turf. So we did get some bids through Lawns of Ease LLC, and they're a company from Forever Lawn of the Ozarks out of Springfield. We had two options for you. One is for 2 fields, approximately $263,000. 4 fields would be $517,000 for you guys to consider. Be open to any discussion, questions that you might have.
Can you refresh my memory on how much it was gonna be without artificial turf for the range we were looking at?
So, so when we first got the quotes to basically do all the repairs that we're doing at Evans, so for all 6 fields, we were looking at about 160,000 is what we're looking at. So to do 2 fields, we're looking at about 263,000. And so it is insurable because it's in a floodplain. The deductible is 50,000 per event.
Trying to think of how many times since I've been on council, we've had to repair that, because there was stuff before 2017, I remember.
Well, I know since 2017.
Yeah,
We're at least 3. And so there's no guarantee even if we don't go the turf option, we're still going to have to repair them. But we feel like this is a more permanent option. Just as a point of comparison, we did turf the batter's boxes from this rain event in April. Those suffered no damage. We just washed them off. We were ready to go.
Yep. Well, it's up to us to decide here on which option we'd like to do. And I think one of the things pointed out, Earlene, we can cover this with our for
Yeah. So I can tell you. So we have revenue.
she has the checkbook. That's why. I
Yeah,
asked
right.
her.
Natural. Yeah, we have revenue from a termination of a TIF and also money from grant reimbursement. So we can afford the 4 field option if you went that direction.
Who rents the fields? Say we have rent available to cover costs?
No, sorry,
Grant
grant reimbursement.
Grant reimbursement.
Yes, from the city. We do occasionally reserve the fields and rent the fields. So
It would definitely class up the field. So I'd like to see, some of those big tournaments return if we had to.
yeah, and there's some revenue potential there for sure. I think long range, if we're going to be in that location, turfing the infields is a great start. Eventually, when we need to replace all the fences, we can go with the retractable fencing, removable fencing. We can move them in and out depending on which tournament's coming in, the type of teams.
Yeah.
So there's definite potential again in that location if we were to stay there.
Right. Okay.
How disruptive would it be to the games and all the scheduling and everything if there were two fields versus 4?
You mean in terms of 2 that are turfed and 2 that aren't?
Yeah. Oh, so there wouldn't be any real disruption to games or anything?
No,
anything like
no.
that?
So we would schedule it typically industry standard to turf a field, a couple fields. This size, we're looking at probably 3 to 6 weeks. So we would schedule it in between, basically during the shoulder seasons.
I think another thing to consider is to do the 4 is not double what it costs to do 2. But if we split it into 2 and 2, it's going to be more than double to do the next 2.
We would have some cost savings if we were to do it all. And there would be less interruption next year.
We've got the resources on hand now to cover cost of all 4.
Yes, sir. According to the finance department, we do. But I don't have the checkbook.
Mr. Mayor, I would think that for the short term and long term, I think probably doing all 4 of them is going to be the best for the long run.
Would you care to make that motion?
I'd make a motion that we turf all 4 fields at the same time or in the same season.
Yeah.
Maybe if we can get competitive bids, because we have not bid these, correct?
Well, we actually did. So
Okay.
Yeah,
this,
these are, so
there,
we'd be bidding on option two is what your
Okay.
motion would
right.
be.
And so this company is a member of Sourcewell, which is a cooperative purchasing
Okay,
program.
that'd be my motion to all four of them.
Okay, so option two,
I'll second that motion.
okay. Is there any public input on the Hilburn Fields?
On this side.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Nay.
Oh, sorry, and one nay, okay.
All right, city administrators report, Sam?
Thank you again. Good evening, everybody. Don't have much for you this evening, but I do want to call Brian Mitchell to the podium. This will be his last council meeting since he is retiring in July. So get an opportunity to just thank him for his service. He's been with the city for a long time in a couple of different stints, knows more about our streets and roads than probably a lot of other people. So just wanted to say, A, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. And B, enjoy your retirement. And if you'd like to say anything, you're free to.
No,
I'm putting you on the spot, but
No.
mm,
I've enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. It's just time to do something else. Maybe try and relax a little bit or something. I'm not sure that's gonna happen, but depends on where I land and what I decide to do, but it has been a pleasure. So,
You, I've enjoyed, we've had a lot of good conversations over the years. and
yeah,
Riding around, looking at roads,
yeah,
mhm.
other things, so.
right. Yeah,
So appreciate you.
but I've told others if there, if there's anything that comes up where I'm not much, but do have a little bit of history and stuff where I can,
He told me he's not.
we don't
using
want
his
to,
cell
we don't
phone
want to
number.
reinvent, just want to reinvent the wheels. You know?
He
But-
told me he'll keep his cell phone number for a little bit of time
Yeah, I'll
before he
keep it for a
changes
little
it.
bit.
Mhm.
And then hand the new one out to certain people. Yeah.
We have so many good things that are in the works that they're all gonna come true and we're
Yeah.
gonna see Mitchell's out of the way and it's getting done.
That's right. Yeah. I'm fine, gone and everything is, so it'll be great. So,
Yeah.
use me for a scapegoat. I've told several of them out here, just say, well, Brian said he would do it.
Yeah.
Brian. So he said, yeah, we would do that. Never. So,
So is it true you're volunteering to drive the bus?
I might, I don't know.
Get
You
it.
never know. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment, with volunteer stuff, seems like, so.
you'll enjoy
Maybe.
retirement. You will enjoy it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Brian.
You.
That's all I have for you this evening.
All right.
All right. Up next are citizen comments. We only have one citizen speaking, so MJ Prowse. Approach the podium, speak clearly into the microphone, please. State your name and home address, and you have 5 minutes.
Righty, MJ Prowse, 2602 Cody Drive. Okay, hello everyone, I'm MJ. I'm here to address the Parks and Recreation Department, specifically the youth sports registration and format of the draft informed teamed options. Let me start with the reason this was brought to my attention. I signed my daughter up for softball this season under the draft option and was recently informed that she will not be playing the season due to not enough draft players signed up. But that the formed teams will get to participate and play the season. There are several issues that arise from this structuring, but I will state 4. A child is denied from playing in a city league. A child is denied exposure to the building blocks of sportsmanship, teamwork, and the basics of that sport. It perpetuates cherry picking of advanced players and unbalanced teams. It limits newcomers to West Plains and newcomers to sports to ever have the opportunity to play. My understanding of how it currently works is that you either have to know the coaches of a formed team, or a formed team will pick out a player from the draft teams and ask them to be on their team the following year. Or if the draft has enough players sign up, the draft team will play. The problem is, how does one first play draft if it's not always guaranteed to occur every year? And as a newcomer to West Plains, I moved here knowing no one. I have no connections to coaches or former players. This is the only place I've ever seen or heard of having formed teamed options in a city-led youth sports organization. This makes no sense, and I do not see the benefit or need to have that option. With West Plains growing, this type of structure and format is hindering to the youth sports now and in the future. Okay, let's start with the benefits of kids playing sports, as this will address my the first two issues. The biggest are physical health, mental well-being, improving social skills. Physical health is obvious with running, jumping, creating stronger bones, cardiovascular system. Maybe not so obvious is mental well-being and social. Self-esteem and confidence are boosted as well. Playing with others, even others of different talent levels, can teach communication and problem solving. We could go on and on about the benefits of sports and youth. We all know, and we can get the gist. This leads me to issue number 3, the handpicking and unbalanced teams year after year that formed teams create. I get wanting to play with your best friends year after year and growing that skill together. But I feel this format in City League sports discourages kids that are new to sports and new to West Plains. Softball isn't the only sport we've witnessed this. We also ran into this problem with basketball. As the formed teams continue to dominate and crush the draft teams, we heard others saying their kids have given up playing sports and are disheartened. Using the City League as a select or travel sport format is limiting possibilities for kids within our own town. Just like the slogan states, how are we supposed to make it happen here if we don't get the opportunity to start? I don't want to just leave complaints and grievances, but thoughts on solutions. I've been working on gathering feedback in other places. Random pool selections seem to be the go-to for Rec and City League. I know there are some set on the idea of competitive formed teams, so maybe having different seasons, one for all draft and one for all formed teams that don't coincide may be a starting point. Whatever our solution, we should never be turning children away from city sports. I've played sports my whole life since I was a kid, and it's still a passion and love for me today. Sports transcends to so many other areas in one's life.
1 minute.
That is why this format is troubling and why we need to revisit it. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Would you be willing, if we pass your contact information on for you to do this presentation to the park board itself?
Sure.
I mean, that's where this kind of needs to
I
start.
will blast it wherever you need it.
Well, no, there might even be an opening on the park board. I mean, I'm just saying. Mike's not here, so I can't ask him. Well, I guess I could text him real quick, but no, it's good. I understand, and I'm sorry for your daughter not getting to play. What position?
It was
Yes.
my daughter, and there's been several other kids
Well, I
that
mean, what
wanted to
position
play.
does she play?
This was her first year. She wanted to play softball. She finally got the courage up, and she got denied because there's not enough kids to play draft. And so
Yeah.
now she's heartbroken that she finally got the courage up and she's denied.
I understand.
But
I
so
understand. And I'm sorry for that bad experience there. Very bad. Took all my kids through the program, and
Oh.
I love women's softball. That's great. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I can get it on.
She'll pass your information on to Mike Davis, the parks director, and we'll get you in front of them, and maybe we can get something worked out.
sounds good.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
All right.
That's all we have, Mayor.
All right. Well, nothing else appearing. I say,